wrestling, and that'd be our very own Carl Jackson's on the line with us. Carl, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, guys. How are you doing?
Doing great. We got some Cafe Positano pizza going down in there.
Oh, man, I could smell that through the phone. That's good stuff, that's for sure.
All right.
Good stuff.
It is, indeed. It is. All right, what kind of good stuff you got for us tonight?
Well, I can tell you based upon social media that some candidates are doing very well, some are doing very bad, and now I believe that New York Times and other pieces have caught on. I wrote about this several weeks ago, and I've heard many people mention since just the basic fact that social media is playing a new role. Barack Obama in 2008 and 2012 used social media effectively, and there are a lot more candidates that are keen and aware and know that they need to utilize the social media. But it does something else too. I think it goes beyond. A lot of the polling samples are extremely small right now, and so they're less accurate. And as we get closer to the end of the race and closer to the end of the primary season, if you will, you'll see the numbers, larger samples. You'll see poll numbers tightening up and all that kind of stuff. But I've been saying all along, one thing that I've paid attention to is Facebook and Twitter. I didn't get the numbers for Twitter, but I did get the numbers for Facebook because I think Facebook says it tells you a story that a lot of pollers, or pollsters rather, aren't telling, and that's the fact that when someone follows you and likes you on Facebook, your information pops onto their Facebook page, and so what you have, in essence, is someone that's pretty committed to you, because you don't want to get their junk on your page if they're not. So, quite frankly, based upon the numbers that both Trump and Carson are getting, they've got some very loyal and committed followers. Now, Carson has extended his lead over Trump on Facebook. He's over Trump by approximately 200,000 or nearly 200,000.
Carl, real quick, can you give us like the totals each one of them has on Facebook?
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, Trump has 4,085,824. Ben Carson is at 4,322,570. Cruz is at 1 million. Is the next actually he's not the next closest. Rand Paul is the next closest at 2,068,485. The only thing is Rand Paul, for some reason, he's an outlier. I don't know why. I don't know how to explain it, but I presume that he got a lot of numbers earlier, and perhaps over the years, just based upon the fact that he's more libertarian leaning, and he probably got some of his dad's people following and so on, etc. But contrary to his numbers, oddly enough, he isn't spiking that much. I mean, from the last time I looked at these numbers 3 weeks ago, his numbers are only up 2,000. So you look at Trump, whose numbers are up a whopping 152,000 over a few weeks ago. And then Carson's numbers are up 176,000 a few weeks ago. Those two are just killing everybody. And then you have Cruz, who's the next closest, but way down at 19,000, which is a great number.
Normally.
Yeah, it would be a great number,
yeah.
Were it not for Trump and Carson, but it's a steady number, and he steadily increases. Fiorina would be in fourth place at 17,000 new likes with 495,387. Who's next? Rubio. Rubio is the next one. He's gained in the last few weeks an additional 15,000 Facebook followers. So
I was going to say, what's his total? Yeah, go ahead.
He's at 1,057,923. So the people that are the ones that are gaining traction are all of the ones that are considered either an outsider or the bridge to the outsiders and establishment. So you see that trend not only in the polls. So in that sense, the polls are right. That's not only the trend in the polls, that is the trend on Facebook. You have Jeb Bush, who after Trump, Carson, Cruz, Fiorina, and Rubio, then Jeb Bush comes up next with 5,000 new likes on Facebook in the last few weeks. So
that's anemic, though.
Yeah, it is anemic, and everyone else is worse than that. But I would say the biggest You have people like George Pataki. I mean, it's ridiculous. These people need to get out of the race. He's gained 150 total. You have Lindsey Graham has actually gained 3,000, who he ties with Huckabee, oddly enough. So Huckabee will probably be somewhat of an outlier too, but he seems to gain a little more than Paul. But both of them, Huckabee is at 1,850,873, but he, like Rand Paul, and even Trump came in with large numbers from the get-go. Based upon higher name recognition, but Trump is not the outlier. He's just blowing people away.
Right. Well, that's all that. Given all of that, then, if we were to judge what's happened since the campaign season has started, Carson is the one who's really tearing it up. Because, as you said, Trump, even though he's got big numbers, he had pretty big numbers going in. It would seem to me Carson's numbers were probably nil.
Carson is faking everyone. I mean, the fact that he even... At one point, I checked Carson, and this was quite a while ago, and he was over 2-something million under Trump.
Yeah.
So to consider the fact that he's caught him, and he's surpassed him, and he's continually gaining. Now, he does something that's clever, and a lot of people aren't doing, and they should do. I noticed Rubio actually has started doing it. Ted Cruz does it a little bit. But not as effectively as Carson. And so I've actually been looking at Carson's page a couple of times or a few times or whatever at night. And all he does is he takes 3 questions or comments that people have posted on his page during the day. He just scans his page, and then he just responds to those things. And then he gets so many, he'll get like 12,000, 15,000 likes, clicks, just liking his comment.
Right.
And of course, once those people like his comment, then everyone who has clicked on like, if their friends are now exposed to Ben Carson.
Yeah.
So it's just brilliant. And I don't think it's him playing politics. I just think it's him being, hey, listen, this is the grassroots. People are wondering how he's doing it in Iowa. I think Rush caught it. I believe it was Rush who said it the other day. People aren't paying attention to the quiet storm that's going on social media, because in the end, I guarantee you, the people that are polling well, that are doing well on social media, that's the grassroots. Those are the people that are telling you, hey, I'm committed to you. It's not someone that you're walking up in the street that's willy-nilly, yeah, I may vote for Trump, I may vote for Carson, but they're waiting to see how things play out. These are people that says, this is my guy, this is who I like, and this is who I'm going with, at least for now.
Right.
And they commit to it by clicking on the like button. And so you can see people like Kasich. Kasich has only gotten, he needs to be out of the race. You saw how the establishment was trying to get him, pump him up. He's up 1,000 over a 3-week period of time. There's absolutely no ground game. I got to tell you, I'm somewhat impressed by Rubio in this sense. He doesn't really have a team down in Iowa. He's picking up traction by doing pretty much going to little events here and there and social media. I mean, he has a very limited team where he's not spending hardly any money whatsoever. This may, from what I understand, come back to bite him in the butt. I don't know, but right now he's pretty confident in the fact that they are pounding social media while he pounds the pavement with very limited amounts of people. And to some extent, I guess it is working for him, but you have people, like I was hearing some of the Fox News this morning saying, I forget who said it specifically, they think that'll probably hurt him in the end. And to some degree, I agree. I think he should have a team down in those places, but he's doing all he can himself and his one-man team, if you will, down there to try to conserve money. And I think these guys are playing it smart. I mean, you got Trump that's got an unlimited supply of his own money. You got Carson, who's raising money up the yin yang. You got Cruz, who's raising money up the yin yang. None of them are spending.
And by the way, Cruz, Carl contacted me to correct me. I said something the other day, and I was probably being a little bit overly harsh on Ted Cruz and not specific enough in what I was trying to say, because I said that you could count most of the money that Ted Cruz has raised from donors on one hand. And in fact, that would apply to his super PAC, but not to his campaign. His campaign, actually, Carl, please correct me.
Yeah, his campaign, he's still number one, believe it or not, as far as campaign donations, $100 and under. So he's the guy. Still, despite Carson gaining ground on him, Cruz is still the guy where people are saying, the grassroots people are saying, "This is my guy. I'm giving him $50. I'm giving him $100. This is a guy. This is the horse that I'm riding with."
Yeah.
And I was actually kind of surprised that he's been able to sustain that, quite frankly. But yeah, he does. There's no doubt he has some big names, some big money behind him, as do all of these guys to some extent. But he does have the number one amount of people that are given $100 or less.
And those, similar to what you were talking about with Facebook, those are people who are going to be pretty well committed to him, because that small amount generally means they don't have a lot to give. And they're regular guys and gals like us. And so they're not going to be freely, flinging money around expecting they're going to get something back for it. They're just going to give money to people who they really would like to help out, and we'll follow through on that at the polls. If I were to set up the brackets right now, I would say the four people to watch to make the Final Four would be Trump, Carson, Cruz, and Rubio. And so it appears that the social media tends to bear that out.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would actually add Fiorina. I know that her numbers have dropped, definitely, but the truth of the matter is, for some reason, she's doing very well
on social media. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So.
Well, that's one thing. Well, it should be. I mean, she ran Hewlett-Packard, right? I mean, for heaven's sake.
So I was going to say she should know how to run that stuff. So even if the polling isn't looking great for her now, she is in the top 5 at least as far as grassroots groundswell.
How about her donors? How does she fare with the small donors? Do you know?
You know what? I haven't checked that out, but I will do that. I would think, based upon her numbers, not that strong right now, but I will check that out.
Okay. Once again, can people read your articles and find out everything you're up to these days?
Easiest place, CarlJacksonShow.com, and then I'll be emailing you my latest so that they can find it on American Adversaries Radio or with the Intel Brief.
That's right. Okay, Carl.